The Eagle Pride Marching Band is not merely a group of musicians, but a family. This past season, we had many victories and many losses, but through it all, we relied on each other for strength. We smiled through the struggles and never lost heart. Sadly, our band director had to leave in the middle of the season due to an illness. We were faced with many challenges and changes, but we remained resilient and flexible.
Mr. Duarte is the one that came and helped us out when no one else was there for us. He came and took over our classes, our after-school rehearsals, and he pushed us beyond what we thought was even possible, especially because nothing was planned at the beginning of the year like it was supposed to go out. So having Mr. Duarte come in was truly like a blessing to the entire band, and him as a person is probably the best thing about this entire year.
Mr. Fike is the director at an elementary school, and he came back this year to be our woodwind instructor, which was the first time that we had such a well-qualified instructor for our woodwinds. Mr. Fike was really invaluable when Miss B left. He completely stepped up without needing to, without being forced. He took a lot onto himself and became our interim director, and he took on the responsibilities of a 160-kid marching band program to make sure that we were the best we could be, even with all the things that had changed.
The most obvious struggle was dealing with just such fluid leadership, not only with adults, but just also students. It was a tough year, and so that was a challenge. But how I think the band dealt with it, and what I think was actually best, was that it forced everyone to take ownership and to step up and sort of deal with it themselves. It really did persevere. So the fact that the students were coming every single practice, and that you were giving it your all, and that you were listening to instruction, and that you still had hope, was probably the biggest part, was that you maintained hope and realized that it's not about a season or a performance, it's about the experience, and you weren't going to give that up just because you were dealt a rough hand.
Although we did not make it to Super State this year, we couldn't be prouder of ourselves and were grateful for Mr. Fike and Mr. Duarte's contribution.
A lot of the band kids, we went to a lot of people's houses and we played 4 or 5 different Christmas songs for families, parents, and then kids or other siblings of people that we knew. The parents seemed very enthralled by it. The kids were kind of like dancing around. They enjoyed it a lot. Every time we finished playing a song, the parents clapped. They were all smiling. It was nice seeing everyone react the way they did.
Ryan's Race is a charity event that brings awareness to Ryan Edwards, who was a senior at Sandra Day O'Connor High School in 2014. Definitely like an emotional event. The band is going to be involved by helping participate in the race by kind of running around and kind of help collecting funds for the charity. And then in the future, Mrs. Frost is going to help by having the entire band participate in the event.
The parents made lots of props in the uniforms by hand because it was cheaper than purchasing brand new ones, and put a lot of time into creating exactly what we needed for our show. From what I saw, my mom and the other parents that she was working with were meeting up every other day at each other's houses and working out how to make the uniforms from scratch, and they spent a lot of time on it. When the budget couldn't cover all the fabric from the store, they would travel all the way to a discount fabric store to make sure they were going to be able to afford all of the fabric that they needed to complete the project for the entire season.
My time with the O'Connor Band so far has been very quick. Lots to learn with a very quick amount of time that we've been together. I just arrived in January of 2019. These students love their band program, and that has made it easy. They love one another very well, and they're very talented, so it has been a wonderful experience in this short amount of time. So coming from past experiences and past programs, I've had good, clear inventories with serial numbers and quality of instruments. When I arrived at O'Connor, we didn't really have a system set up for us to understand the type of instruments that we had and their serial numbers and their quality. So it really has been hit or miss with the condition of the instruments. I just found instruments that I had no idea existed. And when I looked at the quality instrument, you could tell that they had not been serviced in a very, very long time. Instruments are very much so in need of repair or just being replaced, as they have not been in years past.